Welcome to Abuse Exposed, a podcast about the secret of abuse. Each episode, we deliver intriguing Christian and personal experiences on abuse and how to overcome it. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental or medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Now, here's your host, live from Texas, Ispeakmotivate.
Hello. This is Ispeakmotivate, and I'm so excited that you've met with us again for episode 13. Thank you guys so much for the 399 downloads. Again, this means that abuse awareness is being spread so that victims, survivors, and thrivers to come are becoming validated, because usually people just think, oh, abuse is physical or sexual. And that's the one that's mostly promoted in the media. And so when someone's emotionally abused, it's, oh, you don't have a hard shell. You're too sensitive. I mean, I got talked down to when I was a kid. You're just sensitive. So this is a podcast to bring light to all types of abuse so that we can heal and grow. And I am actively growing. I am 27 years old, and I am 2 years no contact with my parents that were abusive to me up until the last day of no contact. And then I'm 7 years. I'm actually 10 years from the domestic violence relationship, no contact. So I just want to say that I love you guys, and let's get into the podcast. Now, episode 13, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be vulnerable with you guys and talk a little bit about, me going to therapy, kind of have a quote of the day, kind of merging that together, so that you guys can, you can follow me on my journey as well. And I'd love for you guys to comment your personal journeys, your tips, your tricks, because again, we're here to help each other. There could be someone that's a victim right now, and you've been through that similar thing, and you can encourage them. Or you're a thriver right now, and you can help a survivor get to that next step. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just very excited for the podcast. Now for the quote of the day. It says, both empaths and narcissists have experienced past traumas. Both narcissists and empaths have experienced trauma in their past. Depending on the way they process the pain and who they identify with will determine their reaction. Empaths identify with the victim and cannot imagine inflicting that kind of pain on anyone, while narcissists end up identifying with the predator and end up re-traumatizing others and continuing the cycle of dysfunction. And this quote is created by Maria Consiglio at quote shots of wisdom. Okay. Now, the reason why this was so important for me to share with you guys is because I was just scrolling, looking up topics for the podcast when we were doing, we were going over the trauma bond. I was trying to get as much information, to help. And when I research, it helps me as well, grow stronger in my journey. It helps me learn things that I didn't know about myself that helps with, encouragement and things like that. So I'm looking up stuff for that, and I get the answer to the question I had in therapy. Therapy helps you open up your mind and your heart, and it helps you open up and release the questions that you have and the mysteries. And sometimes, just like this, you won't get the answer in therapy, but somehow you will get the answer in other ways. And I believe God gave me this answer because I was not looking for it at all. After the therapy session, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to talk to, the therapist again to get deeper into it. But now I have that answer. And the answer was, the question was, I did not understand why my parents abused me because they had their own childhood trauma. I just didn't understand, because I'm like, I'm healing now, so I don't bring any unhealthy behaviors to my future children. I don't want them to be hurt at all, and I couldn't imagine hurting someone on purpose. Like, we all hurt people, and a lot of it is unintentional. But when you hurt people intentionally without remorse, consistently, and then you lie about it, you're just like, oh no, I never did that in my life. And validating the person's experience, you're torturing them, and I just couldn't understand. And my biggest question was, because you're a mother, because you're a father, how could you do this to your child? It just got me shook, because I'm like, I would never want to hurt my baby. I want to show them love and compassion, because I don't want them to feel how I felt when I was a child. Like, I never want my child to be in fear of me. I want us to have unconditional love. I want my child to be able to tell me things, that their passions and things they don't like. Like, I want them to have their own identity. I don't want them to be a shell of who I want them to be. Like, I want them to love who they are. They don't have to be a lawyer or a CEO for me to love them. As long as they're loving what they do, I'm happy, and that's what I want for my children. Just for them to feel love, and for them to have confidence and self-love, and to know that Jesus loves them. Like, that's my thing. I don't want them to go through pain. I know it's going to happen, because it's the real world. But I don't want it to be at the hands or the voice of me. So I'm talking to my therapist last Monday, and I'm just like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand this. I mean, because she was like, oh, some people that have childhood trauma, they feel as if what they're doing is right. And whatever is happening at the time takes them back to what happened to them, and they react in that particular manner. But I was just like, okay, but why would you refuse to heal, and just, hurt your child? It just boggled my mind. Like, I just did not understand. Like, it was nothing that could get me, because I was like, okay, so you're triggered from your past, and you think you're a good mom because that's what your abuser did to you during your childhood. So I was like, okay, so I'm like, you're telling me, trigger warning, that's something that happened to me as a child. So you're telling me if I'm sweeping and my mom's mad because I'm cleaning and she beats me with the broom I'm using, that she doesn't know any better. Like, she doesn't know that's wrong, even if she grew up in that trauma and that's a trigger, for her. Like, I just can't. I was like, if I had a child, I just can't see them sweeping. And then because they're sweeping and I didn't want them to sweep, I just beat them with a broom. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And it was just bothering me because, you see all the Mother's Day. You see all the Mother's Day cards and the Mother's Day memes and the moms at the mall with their daughters and all these moms' activities at the nail salon. And you're trying to figure out why you can't have bonding activities and stuff like that. Or if you do have the bonding activity, at the end of it, it's going to be parasitic behavior and they're going to want something from you. And you know that you have to consistently be an ATM in order to receive quote unquote love from your mother. Like, how is that? Like, how can a person think like that? And that quote right there, and it was just sent from God for me, really answered my question. And I'm going to read it once again for you guys because it's a really important quote and it really opened my eyes, and I hope it helps you. It does give me deeper questions now on the next session I'm going to have, which is going to be on Monday at 10 a.m. again when I go to the therapist, and I'm going to read the quote out to her and then see if we can work through some more stuff to say, oh, why would someone identify with the predator, instead of the victim? Like, what causes that, So I'm going to ask her in therapy, and when I get the answer, I want to come back on the next segment of vulnerability talk, and just touch bases with you guys because it's really interesting to me, and it did give me a bit of closure. Believe it or not, you know what I'm saying? It did. I feel like closure is different for everybody, and everybody needs something different. So, just getting an answer to a question gets you more of a peace of mind and understanding on what's going on, And so here it is again. Both empaths and narcissists have experienced past traumas. Both narcissists and empaths have experienced trauma in their past. Depending on the way they process the pain and who they identify with will determine their reaction. Empaths identify with the victim and could not imagine inflicting that kind of pain on anyone, while narcissists end up identifying with the predator and end up re-traumatizing others and continuing the cycle of dysfunction.